Hello and welcome. Imagine you are about to build something important, a bridge, a new facility, or a large technology solution. Before the first brick is placed or first line of code is written, one question matters. How do we make this journey predictable? And that is exactly what we are going to explore in this video, predictive project management through PMI framework. Now, you may have heard this approach called traditional or waterfall project management. The idea is simple. When the destination is clear and requirements are reasonably well understood, we invest time upfront to create a structured plan and then manage that work against that plan. And in this session, we are going to break down the 49 processes and, more importantly, understand how they fit together. I don't want you to memorize the list of processes without understanding the story behind them. Instead, think of processes as project manager's toolkit. Each tool has a purpose, and together they help us move from approved idea to a controlled and successful delivery. So, whether you are preparing for a professional certification or simply want to become a disciplined project manager, let's build that understanding step by step. And by the end, you will have a much clearer picture of when project predictive management makes sense, how process groups work, and why these processes matter. So let's get started. Now let's start with the foundation. In project management, new ideas and new methodologies appear all the time. But underneath those trends, there is still a powerful question. How do we manage a project in structured and predictable way? This is where predictive project management comes in. Imagine that a customer tells you, here is exactly what we need. The requirements are known, the deliverables are defined, and we have target date and budget. This is very different from a project wherein customer is still discovering what they want. For predictive projects, we can spend more time upfront understanding the requirements, defining scope, building the schedule, estimating cost, identifying risk, and establishing management approach. The 49 processes provide the structured backbone for that work rather than thinking of them as a paperwork or bureaucracy. Think of them as set of management questions. Have we authorized the project? Have we planned the work? Are we executing according to the plan? Are we monitoring what is happening? And finally, have we formally completed the project? This structure is also important for professional certification because it gives project managers a common language and a consistent way of thinking. And our key reference point here is Process Group Practice Guide. The important takeaway is this: project predictive project management is not about creating a plan and forgetting it. It's about creating enough structure to make project understandable, measurable, and controllable. Now, next question naturally becomes, when should we use predictive management and when should we use more adaptive? And this is where our skyscraper analogy comes in. Let's make the difference between predictive and adaptive very simple. Imagine you are building a 40-story skyscraper. Before construction begins, you need to know where the foundation will go, where the elevator will be, how floors will be arranged, and how major structure components will fit together. You cannot reach 20th floor and suddenly say, let's move the elevator shaft to other side. The kind of change is possible in theory, but it is extremely expensive, disruptive, and risky. That is the world where predictive project management works well. The scope is largely known upfront, plan is detailed, and changes after the baseline is established are carefully controlled. Now imagine a completely different situation. You are developing a new software product, but your user are not completely sure what they need, and you build something, get feedback, learn from the users, and then adjust the product. Here adaptive approach can be much more effective because learning and change are part of the process. Now, so the lesson is not that predictive is better than adaptive or adaptive is better than predictive. The real skill of a project manager is knowing the environment. Now, ask yourself, how much do we know today? How stable are requirements? How expensive would the change be? And how much uncertainty exists? If the answer is certainty is high and low tolerance for major changes, then predictive may be a strong fit. If uncertainty is high and learning is expected, adaptive may be more appropriate choice. And once you decide a predictive structure fits, we need a way to organize all the management work. And that brings us to 5 process groups and 49 processes. Now we come to one of the most important part of predictive framework, the process groups. At first, number 49 can be intimidating, and you might look at it and think, do I really have to remember all of these? Now, instead of seeing separate 49 items, let's see a project story. First, we initiate a project. We establish why project exists and obtain the necessary authorization. Next come planning, and this is where significant amount of management thinking happens. We define how the scope, schedule, cost, quality, resources, communications, risk, procurement, and stakeholders will be managed. And then we execute the work. This is where team turn the plan into actual deliverables. And at the same time, monitoring and control activities help us understand whether reality is matching the plan. We measure performance, manage changes, control scope, monitor risk, and take corrective actions when needed. And finally, we close the project formally. Now, notice something important here. Planning receives the large share of processes, and this makes sense, right? Now, if you're going on a long journey, spending 5 minutes doing like deciding the destination and route may not be enough. The more complex your journey is, the more useful good preparation becomes. And that same is true for projects as well. The groups give us a mental map. Instead of asking, what do I do with all these processes? Ask, where am I in the project? And what management work is needed at this point? That shift from memorizing the isolated processes to understanding their purpose is one of the best ways to make framework easier to remember. Now let's see something even more interesting. These processes are not simply used once, they can repeat across different phases of a project. Now, here is where frameworks become much more practical. Imagine a technology project with 3 major phases: design, coding, and testing. A common mistake is to think we have already completed planning at the beginning, so we are done with planning. Each project management, but project management does not work quite that way. Each major phase creates its own set of objective, deliverables, risk, stakeholders, and decisions. Now, take design for an example. We may initiate phase, plan the design work, execute the activities, monitor progress and performance, and eventually complete or transition the phase. Then we move on to coding. The coding team takes design output and creates working functionality. Again, we need planning, execution, monitoring, control, and appropriate completion activities. Now, next comes testing. Now, the focus again changes, but we need to organize testing, execute test activities, monitor quality, manage defects and changes, and confirm that the expected standards are being met. So, think of these 49 processes as an engine that can support different phases of a project. The engine is consistent, but work being produced changes from phase to phase. The key point or the key idea is framework provides management discipline while the deliverable changes according to the phase. And this is why predictive project management can provide a strong sense of control. At each stage, project manager can ask, what are we trying to deliver? What is the plan? What is actually happening? Are we still aligned? And are we ready to move forward? And once you see the framework as a repeating management rhythm rather than a one-time checklist, the 49 processes becomes much more easier to understand. Now let's pause and connect everything we have discussed. If you if you remember only three ideas from this section or from today's video, remember these three. Fixed scope. Predictive project management works particularly well when we have a clear understanding of what are we expected to deliver, because the destination is relatively clear and we can invest more effort in planning how to get there. Second, five process groups. Think of them as the rhythm of project management: initiating, planning, execution, control and monitoring, and closing. They help us organize the management work and provide a logical way to understand what is happening throughout the project. Phase integration. The process group is not simply a straight line that we use once and forget it. When project has multiple phases, the management activities can be applied across those phases to help move the project from one stage to next stage in a controlled way. Now let's use a simple example. Suppose you are developing a new business application. During design, you plan and control the design work. During development, you again plan, execute, monitor, and control the development activities. During testing, same management discipline applies, holds, and you control quality and confirm readiness. So, the big picture is this: predictive project management gives us a structure when the destination is reasonably clear. The process group gives us rhythm, and processes gives us detailed management actions. And that brings us to the end of introduction to predictive project management and 49 processes. Let's quickly remember the journey we took today. We started by understanding why predictive management is useful when requirements and outcome are reasonably clear. Next, we compared predictive and adaptive approaches using our skyscraper analogy. And next, we explored five process groups and saw how 49 processes provide a structured way to manage a project. And finally, we looked at how these management activities support different project phases rather than being treated as one-time checklist. The most important message I want you to take away is this: don't try to memorize the framework without understanding the story. A project starts with an idea, we authorize it, we plan it, we execute the work, we monitor and control performance, and finally, we close it. The process provides discipline that help us make the journey predictable and manageable. Thank you so much for watching. If this video helped you understand predictive project management more clearly, please like the video, share it with other project management learners, and subscribe to the channel for more practical project management learning content. Keep learning, keep practicing, and most importantly, keep connecting theory to the real project situations. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.